This Thursday, it was all eyes on Frankfurt.
Yes, it was indeed on Frankfurt and the European Central Bank. Hi there, everyone. There's been talk in the past couple of months of the European Central Bank potentially taking action to boost the Eurozone economy. But when ECB officials met on Thursday, they kept their gunpowder dry. They held their benchmark interest rate steady at a record low of 0.25%. ECB President Draghi, he said as well that the ECB is ready to take further action if needed. He hinted at the possibility of stimulus measures like bond buying, like the United States Federal Reserve has been doing. It comes as inflation in the Eurozone fell to just 0.5% in March, and that in turn has sparked fears that the Eurozone is heading for deflation, which could hurt the wider economy.
We do not exclude further monetary policy easing, and we firmly reiterate that we continue to expect the ECB interest rates to remain at present or lower levels for an extended period of time.
OK, Mario Draghi signalling there that the ECB is ready to move against deflation if need be. And for more on where the ECB may be heading, I spoke to Ishak Siddiqui earlier. He's a market strategist at ETX Capital in London. And I started by asking him about the market's reaction to the ECB's latest move, or no move, rather.
I think it's Mario Draghi being a fantastic wordsmith again, really using the art of language to quell a lot of the market's nerves and worries about the risk of deflation. It doesn't seem like for the ECB deflation is really on the agenda at the moment. More so it's about the strength of the euro, which is worrying for them. And that's also very worrying because the stronger the euro is, it could be detrimental for growth and inflation at the same time. So the way that we've read it over here is that Mario Draghi is again using his language to communicate to the market. It seems very likely that they will look to exhaust conventional monetary policies first, such as interest rate cuts, before they think that it's drastic enough, the situation is drastic enough for them to look at something which is unconventional, such as QE.
Inflation in the Eurozone is already way below the ECB's own target rate. If the ECB doesn't act now, when will it act?
Yeah, it's quite hard to tell when the ECB is going to act. We know that if the ECB keeps running inflation at a rate where their target is 2%, and if the inflation rate teeters around 0.5, which it is now, to 0.7, we're running at low inflation, which is also as detrimental to the Eurozone recovery as deflation itself. So I would think that the ECB would probably be more enthused about looking at cutting the interest rate, or at least looking at a different measure by the time inflation drops to about 0.3%. And that would be very dangerous. I think the ECB are really letting it fall to the most absolute point they can before they look at a stimulus response.
That was Ishak Siddiqui speaking to me there earlier from ETX Capital. We're going to stay with Mario Draghi next. He was also seen to be firing off a warning shot in France's direction when he spoke in Frankfurt earlier. He said that Eurozone countries should stick to the bloc's own budget rules. It came only hours after France's new finance minister hinted that he wants to discuss those rules. Michel Sapin said the French government does intend to cut its budget deficit to 3% of French GDP. But he said that he wants to discuss a previous pledge to do so by 2015. It sets him on a collision course with the European Commission, which wants France to take swifter action to reduce its deficit. We're going to take a look at the stock markets next. In Europe, shares, they got a boost after Mario Draghi's statements in Frankfurt. The CAC 40 in Paris ended well above the flat line, up 0.4%. A slightly different picture in London, where we saw shares actually trading down somewhat at the close. In the United States this hour, we are also seeing red arrows basically across the board. But the indices, well, they remain close to those record highs that we have seen in the past few days. The focus very much is now turning on to a labour market report that we're expecting out on Friday. That's a closely watched report, of course, as we find out what the latest unemployment figures are over in the United States. Let's look at a few other stories for you. Russian energy company Gazprom says the size of Ukraine's gas bill has risen to $2.2 billion, and it wants the Ukrainian company Naftogaz to take immediate steps to pay that debt. On Tuesday, Gazprom announced that it would raise the price of gas exports to Ukraine. The company's chief executive said Gazprom had cancelled a previous discount due to Ukraine's debts. Europe's biggest home improvement retailer is trying to strengthen its position in France. Kingfisher already owns the brand Castorama, and now it's launched a takeover bid for the smaller rival Monsieur Bricolage. All in all, Kingfisher is offering 275 million euros to boost its position in France, which is already the company's most profitable market. And the chief executive of Lufthansa says he's hoping for a quick resolution to a standoff with the airline's pilots. It comes during a three-day walkout by pilots over a plan to scrap an early retirement scheme. Lufthansa says it expects the strike between Wednesday and Friday to lead to 3,800 cancellations altogether. All right, we're going to finish up with this. Miley Cyrus could become collateral damage in the standoff between Russia and the West over Ukraine. A concert promoter in Finland says that lawyers, they are now currently looking into whether the American pop star will have to cancel a gig in Helsinki in June. This, as the concert venue in question is owned by 3 Russian individuals who are on a list of people subjected to asset freezes and travel bans by the United States. The United States outlined that list after Russia annexed Crimea last month. Justin Timberlake, he could also be affected. He's due to play at the arena in May already. Poor Miley, poor Justin, what is going to happen to them? And with that, I'm going to send it back to you, Francois.
You know, this is the perfect link, Marcus, because we've been all talking about the Russian-owned Brooklyn